What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you are listening to Liquid Carnage. My friend, fall is in full swing. October is among us. Oktoberfests are in the air, in the parks. I got to enjoy a nice bratwurst and some German beer this weekend, so I think all is good in the world.
Oh, that does sound good. Yeah, this is definitely the time for enjoying beer and bratwurst and German food and
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 if you're in
those
Arizona,
pumpkin spice lattes and those pumpkin
being
spice
outside if
lattes.
you're in Arizona,
Yeah.
it's crazy to me because the weather is bearable now. We're like where I'm at. It's in the mid 80s most of the time. It was a little bit warmer this weekend. We were in the 90s, but still not terrible. Um, I just enjoy Oktoberfest. Pretzels and beer cheese and mustard and bratwurst and beer. Oh my! I uh, as you know, and as our EP will tell you, I've been on a sausage making kick this year, and I have the stuff to make my own bratwurst, and I really want to do that because to me, I love them, but you have to make them the right way, you know.
I get it. No, I've never made sausage before, but it's a process, right? I mean, it's a pretty extensive process.
Yeah, it can take a while, but I guess when I talk about making it, I don't mean like making the actual sausage itself because I get that. I guess I should have clarified, but from boiling it in beer, then cooking it over the open fire to get
Oh,
the
I see what you're
everything
saying.
nice and
Okay.
crispy, get some char on it. When you have a sausage like that, how do you like it?
Yeah, I like just regular mustard. I'm not a Dijon mustard guy, but I like regular mustard, and that's it.
Are you a kraut guy?
I mean, I'll do it, but I normally wouldn't ask for it. I'll do it, but I wouldn't normally ask for it.
Okay, okay. Like, do you want like a regular hot dog bun or like a roll?
Oh, I do like a roll. I like the real bread.
Yeah.
Although I've been cutting out my bread intake a little bit, so now I just take the sausage and just put the goodies on it and just cut it or eat it by hand.
Well, we'll give our listeners a second to stop laughing and insert their own jokes at that last statement, but I
Whatever,
understand
man.
completely what you're saying.
Hey, I'm a
I
51-year-old man trying to be, in the best physical shape of my life.
I get it. I get it. You got to do what you got to
I
do.
gotta do me. Gotta
You
do
got to be
me. I gotta
you.
be me.
You got to be you, my friend.
I gotta be me.
Yeah. So it's. I just love the time of year. I love football's in full swing. Basketball is getting started. Hockey's getting started. Baseball in the playoffs. The Diamondbacks taking on the Dodgers in the National League Division Series right now. As of the recording, we're minutes before Game 2, so I don't know where we're going to be come Thursday when this gets released. But I hope, and I know you're a Dodger fan, that Arizona is up, and either we're done with this thing, or we're taking a 2-1 lead.
Oh no, I'm a Dodger fan, but I am totally rooting for the Diamondbacks because the Dodgers can buy any team they want. The Dodgers can buy any team they want. The Diamondbacks can't.
Yeah.
So I'm totally, if the Diamondbacks win and sweep, believe me, I'll be totally happy. I will be
Yeah.
totally happy, and I won't even be upset at all about it. I think like I'm a Rams fan. Okay, everyone
Mhm.
knows I'm a Rams fan. But if another team beats my team, I don't get too emotionally upset about it. I
Yeah.
don't worry too much about it. I kind of okay, yeah, like when the Cardinals are beating the Rams, okay, you guys are better than us. That's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
the level of attachment that I feel for my teams is somewhere in the between like fanatical and I don't even care about football. I'm kind
I
of somewhere in the middle.
I like to think that I'm more of an educated fan of the game. Like I understand the teams and like the structure and the build of each squad that I pay attention to, and the Cardinals in particular. Like I made my peace this year knowing that as a rebuild, we're not gonna be great, and you just have to take your lumps, and that's made the game a lot easier. But you talk to a casual fan. I work with a 49er fan, and she's honestly just the worst about it because she's like, "Well, your team got their ass kicked." It's like, if you listened to your team last week, they were actually praising how much better we were this year compared to last year. So, I mean, it goes a little bit further than got your ass kicked. Like there's a reasoning behind everything. So, I, I try not to interact with people about sports too much unless I know we're on similar levels and we can have an honest discussion or debate.
Okay.
Makes sense because I try not to get drugged into my team's better than yours. Like I don't fucking care. Like if you love the Cleveland Browns, love the Cleveland Browns. If you're a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, go be a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't care. We'll give each other some crap when we play each other, but aside from that, hey man, you do you, I'll do me. Learn about your team and I'll pick your brain and pretend like you know what you're talking about most of the time.
Yeah, I've met people like that were fanatical about their teams, and everything their day was good or bad depending on the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
I was on YouTube and there was a video of a Dallas fan after the Cardinals won that game against the Cowboys, and he was absolutely apeshit. Like he was burning stuff in a fire pit. He was breaking his flag stick with the Cowboys, flag on it. He broke the flag stick, and he was breaking his stuff and burning his stuff. And I was like, wow, dude, whoa. I mean, that's an attachment level that I just do not want to be a part of. I just don't.
Yeah. And I don't get that level of just anger toward teams. I don't understand why people have to go to that level. I understand frustration. I mean, hell, I've been an Arizona sports fan my entire life. We have one major championship, one, and we've had our hearts broken numerous times, and it hurts for a minute. It hurts because when you get to that level, and my brother and I, the EP, discussed it a little bit over the last couple weeks. You want to let yourself to start loving that team and invest in that team on that different emotional level, but it's hard when your team gets to the edge and then falls flat or comes short, you know?
Well, and yeah, disappointment is part of sports, right? I
Part of the
mean,
game.
it's part
It's
of
how
the
you
game.
learn.
That's part of, and I mean, I've been a Rams fan longer than you've been alive, dude. So I know about heartbreak and I know about disappointment and I know about, you know, those kind of feelings. What I don't understand is letting the emotions get so worked up that my happiness or sadness or anger is into that team so that the results of something I have no control over affect
Affect
me
you.
emotionally.
Yeah, and we had a friend that used to be like that with the football team. I remember years ago. God, it was the year the Cardinals from the Super Bowl. You were watching a playoff game with him, and his team lost.
Oh yeah.
And he ripped off his jersey and stormed out of the house.
Yeah.
And I
Broke
was like, I don't
things and yeah.
like I don't get it. Like I I will fully admit, in the Cardinals Super Bowl in 2009, I came close when they scored that last second touchdown, but it is what it is. We didn't win. It's heartbreaking, but that's the game. My neighbors were Steelers fans, and I came home and they had a six in yellow balloons on my front door because that's what you do. You give your buddy shit because your team beat his team or vice versa. So
I have a tough time with shit talking though, dude. I've never liked it. I've never wanted to get into it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I've done it, but
I know you've done it.
oh, but I don't feel like I mean, I don't feel like it's a characteristic that I want to embrace. And so I'm very consciously aware of, not being, my mom used to say, there's something about being a good winner and something about being a good loser. And I feel like shit talking goes against that principle. And I don't
I
know
get it.
why it bothers me, but, I try to avoid it as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, I get that. I try very hard not to talk a lot of shit, about things I can't control. And even when I do talk, trash about stuff like that, I try to keep it to a minimum because I know how fast, the switch can flip and you can be on the other side of it. So there's a lot to be said about being humble about what you're good at and what you do.
Yeah, think about it. 5 years ago, New England Patriots were world champions. Now they're
Yes.
one of the worst teams in football.
Yes, and
And
they're
you don't
getting
hear a lot of the Patriot fans talking now, do you? You don't
no.
hear a
I
lot of
think
them talking. And don't get me wrong, they got 20 years of someone being able to back up the talk and, but I never liked it when they were talking so much shit. It's like, you know what? First of all, you had nothing to do with this. You had nothing to do with this. In fact, you
yeah,
might have been just a fan because you think Tom Brady's handsome.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're talking shit on something that you don't need to be talking shit about because, like you said, it's a wheel, man. It comes around and goes around.
It's funny. The EP and I went to the Cardinal Bengal game this weekend
Yeah.
in Phoenix, and there's a lot of Bengal fans. And for the majority of my life, Cincinnati has not been a great team. They have not even been a good team, and they've been mediocre at best
Yeah.
most of the time,
Most of the time
but
in the
mostly
recent
bad.
memory, they've been
Yeah.
bad.
But they've had a good run. Most people know me. I choose to root for the Bengals now when the Cardinals aren't playing because we have family ties to that area. I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and that offense. I think they're fun to watch. But watching the amount of Bengals fans at that stadium, I'm like, are you a real fan or are you just here, for Joe Burrow? Are you fair weather? We were sitting there tailgating with one of our friends, and I don't know if you know this about the EP, but when he's in a location that he doesn't have to drive, and he's not living in that area, he will talk a lot of shit,
Why?
um, because it's fun. And I get like you're at the
Okay.
football game
Okay.
and you want to razz them. And yesterday's game, really at the start of it, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I honestly thought, if the Bengals didn't get right yesterday, the Cardinals could have walked all over them, but the Bengals clearly got right. But the EP said something to some guys walking by, and they stopped. They said, "Well, we're Canadian," and we got to talking and said we just wanted to go to a game, so we got the jerseys and we started talking, and we ended up having a beer with them. And super nice guys, but just the amount of trash talk that some of these fans had coming into our backyard. It's like, are you really a Bengal fan, or are you just a fan because they're here this week? Do you even name three players in the team from 20 years ago? That's almost what you want to say, but you can't do that.
Well, and ultimately, the other thing about shit talking that I kind of stay away from is that it's instantly an escalation point.
Yeah.
Once you start talking shit to someone, if they don't have the emotional control to stop, they're going to reciprocate, go back and forth, and it escalates, right? And
Hmm.
that's when you hear about these stories where, someone gets murdered in a friggin' football stadium because they talk shit and talk shit and talk shit, and then someone beats the crap out of someone and they die.
And I know that you can relate to this because you and I have done this together um, throughout the years, and we've been together in bars and whatnot. Um, it's fun to talk a little trash to people when you just kind of give them a hard time about their team, and if they can take it, they give it right back, and it leads to everybody having a drink and having a good laugh, and no harm, no foul. But there's also been times where people have had to be kind of pulled back a little bit because they're
Yep.
getting a little too emotional over it. Like this is just joking around, man. Do you remember that a couple years ago? She's actually a pretty good friend of mine now. Where they turned off the Cardinals game by accident to put on the Cowboys game for her, and you might have had a beer or two,
Yeah.
and man, you started talking a lot of trash. It got kind of heated there for a second, and
And I think that if I remember correctly, because I did have a beer or two. I think it wasn't I was talking shit about our Pittsburgh team. It was more of we're changing the channel. It has nothing to do with your team. It's you're in a Cardinal area,
yeah,
so we're going to
and,
change
and
it
we were
to the
and we were
Cardinals.
watching that game.
Yeah. So shut your
Yeah,
pie hole.
yeah,
But go ahead.
yeah. But still, it came down to things got a little heated for a second, but after some breaths were taken
Yeah.
and some sips were had,
Yeah.
cooler heads prevailed.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of it too is that there is an emotional connection to the way that we watch sports in the United States. I'm sure there's emotional connection when you go to Britain and watch a soccer game, right? Same
Yeah,
kind
well,
of idea. These
absolutely.
people are so emotionally in tune and touch with that team as almost a representation of who they are. No
Mm-hmm.
one wants to be represented by a shitty team. Nobody.
No.
I mean, I don't want to be represented by a shitty team, and unfortunately, the Rams have proven to me time and a lot of times that they're a shitty team. They're not a
No, I
great
get that.
team, you know?
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just part of the it's part of the it's part of the game. You know, it is honest to God. It's the way it goes. Sometimes you just have to learn to take the good with the bad and roll with it. And part of being a good fan is learning to be okay with it when they're bad because you have to appreciate it when they're good because it can all change tomorrow.
I've heard rumors, and I've heard it enough times that I'm not even thinking it's a rumor anymore, that like the Philadelphia Eagle fans are one of the worst home crowds to be involved with when you're at a game because
Oh,
they're
hands
so
down.
rude, they're so like over the top shit talking and getting in people's faces. It makes it something that I would never do if I had a goal of going. I want to go to every football stadium at least once. It kind of takes it away from wanting to go to an Eagles game.
Yeah, and I agree with that because we've been to I've seen the Cardinals play the Eagles a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and in Arizona, since it's a destination point for a lot of retirees from back east, often teams from Philadelphia or Pittsburgh their fans will inundate our stadium. And at the NFC Championship game back in 2009, you would have thought it was a Philadelphia home game, the amount of fans that got in there.
Oh
And
boy.
they,
Okay.
they were rude. They just carried on. And you hear stories about that. And I talked to a guy that used to live in Philly, used to work with him, and he was not an Eagles fan, but he would go and his team would show up. And he said, "I'll be honest with you, man. If you're going to the game, unless you're wearing Eagles green, you keep your mouth shut and you just watch because they will punch you, they will throw stuff at you, they will treat you like garbage all the way until you get back out of the parking lot or to the train or wherever the hell you're going."
And I mean, I'll ask you: do you think that represents the best characteristics in us when people act like that?
No, man, it's childish. It's terrible.
I mean,
It's like who the hell would want to do that?
and I guess that's the part that like you said, shit talking to just be joking but once you get to that level where you start to act violently towards someone because of who they like, it kind of like is not a good place.
No, and I will fully admit, that's how you learn to actively root against certain teams. In my book, if you find someone that's that hard of a diehard fan and like they can't handle the winning or the losing, they're just they handle the losses like they lost a dear friend and they're just miserable. It almost makes you just want to kind of poke them a little bit because
Yeah,
when
I
they
mean,
win, they're insufferable.
you and I both know our friend. There have been times where I have to admit I've wanted his team to lose. I
Yeah,
just wanted his team to lose, and I feel bad for saying that, and I hope that I don't lose a friendship over it, but good Lord, man. Like,
I get it.
and frankly, it carries on with anything, like I feel that way sometimes about Trump, is that I think people want bad things to happen to him just because he rubs them the wrong way so horribly. It has nothing to do with him personally. It has nothing to do with, wishing ill will, but he just rubs someone the wrong way and people just want bad things to happen to him. And
Yeah.
I feel like shit talking is the same exact thing. Like when someone's shit talking and talking so much smack about their team and then one of their players gets hurt that's supposed to be really important to the team,
Hmm.
I gotta admit, I get a little, yeah.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
know, I,
awful. That's terrible.
I never wish ill will on anybody. I hope nobody ever gets hurt. But sometimes, like, yeah, you know what? I'm not mad at that. Like, I feel bad for the guy, but if this team's really that good, they'll figure out how to be good without him.
Yeah. Well, does it
Yeah.
say something that someone's fanatical involvement with their team defining their life being good or bad? Does it say something about them that to you that is kind of like, wow, that's kind of crazy?
There's different levels. To be honest with you, it's. I don't know the best way to explain it. It's like if you walk into someone's house and we'll just use the Cowboys as an example because
They're one of the worst one of the one fan bases that I get a little sick and tired of.
yeah, I mean, like they're like Dodger, Yankee, and Laker fans,
Hey,
man.
don't
Like
be talking shit about the Dodgers.
but I'm not wrong though. There are those people that's their four
Yep.
teams,
Yep.
And when they're good, they crow, man. They crow loud. But when they're terrible, you can't get them to say a word.
Right.
And Dallas, man, if I walked into someone's house and they were a Dallas fan, it was all Cowboys all the time. You know what? I'd have to take a step back, but I'll be honest. If they sat there and they still tried to talk shit and tried to support their team even when they were bad, I'll give them credit because that's a fan that at least takes it seriously. Like, I get it. You should probably have more aspects of your personality, but I understand.
Yeah. I'm a Rams fan. Don't get me wrong. I am a Rams fan, and uh, I'm a Rams fan. I'm a Dodger fan. My first two sporting events was a Dodger Stadium and was in Anaheim when the Rams played in Anaheim back in the 70s. And ever since then, for whatever reason, I loved the blue. I loved the gold. I love the blue. I just love those colors. That being said, when they suck, I'm okay to say they suck.
Yeah.
But on the other side, when they were winning the Super Bowl a couple years ago, I wasn't throwing it in people's faces that, yeah, my team's better than yours, and oh my gosh, I can't believe how much better my team is, and your team sucks, and I would just never do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I'll use the Diamondbacks as an example for me personally. I'm a fan. I love baseball. I think it's a great game. I think it's a dying game. But I think they're trying to make it more relevant. But I love spring training. I believe spring training in baseball, hope springs eternal. It does
Okay.
not matter what happened the year before. Spring training, it's like spring is coming. We could be outside and baseball is here, and you have that hope, and then the season starts, and you have 162 games, so it's a long ass time. And I usually get burnt out by July. If they eat good or bad, I will get burnt out, checked out by Father's Day or July 4th, and then I'm just waiting for football. But if they're good, I'm still paying attention. I'm still reading the highlights. I'm still watching highlights. And then I check back in during the playoffs because I'm still a fan. But if they're bad, man, I know they're bad, but I still check everything. I still want to know who the players are, what's working, what's not working. Just you never know.
Hey,
You know,
yeah, I'm not a huge baseball fan. I mean, I am following it because I am rooting for the Diamondbacks. I'm rooting for them because they're the underdog. They're the small market team. The Dodgers always have enough money to buy whatever team they want. And the Diamondbacks have built this team basically just through good sound financial decisions because they didn't have the money to do it.
yeah,
So I'm
got
rooting
draft.
for them. I'm rooting for them against my Dodgers. Now to kind of take a tangent on this, what do you think about in youth sports where you just give everyone a medal so that there's no, I'm a winner, you're a loser. Everyone gets a medal for playing.
All right.
Because that's kind of the opposite of what we're talking about, right? I
It
mean,
is, it is very much the opposite of what we're talking
we don't want
about.
to have I'm better than you. We don't want to have, oh, you're number one, you're the worst team. We want to have everybody's a winner. Yay.
I think if you're doing an instructional league, okay. I've coached in instructional leagues where no matter what, every inning, everybody's batting. No matter what, everybody's getting a chance to field. Everyone's playing every position because you're learning the game. And I get that. If you do that for a year, I understand. But at a certain point, you can't do that. Kids play sports to learn how to win and learn how to lose. And you learn how to win right and you learn how to lose right. And when you take that away because everybody gets a fucking trophy, that's not creating winners. That's creating a different kind of loser because then they expect to get something even though they didn't do what they're supposed to do.
Well, and I mean, that's part of the good sportsmanship, right? Learn to win, learn how to
Yeah.
lose. Unfortunately, people who win a lot of times start doing the bragging and talking shit and I'm better than you. And isn't that part of what they want to try to get away from is, learning how to win means being graceful about it. And a lot of people
Yeah.
aren't graceful about it.
Yeah, and I think if they were humble about it, it'd be one thing. But that's the thing is, I think being humble has left a good portion of our society. I think it's been lost. I think honestly through the news outlets and the way people take their information and what they feel like it's okay and how to treat people. You
Yeah.
know, I there's a lot of God fearing people that go to church every Sunday, but the way they view this world is not very Christian like. You know. but they hide behind it because someone that says they're Christian tells them information that they seem to trust, and that trickles down all the way down to sportsmanship.
Now, I do respect that even in the professional leagues, they do the handshakes at the end of the game, or win or lose, they do a handshake at the end of the game, and I do like that does carry forward. But you got to remember, those are the players doing that, right?
Yeah.
Those are the players doing that. Those aren't the fans doing that. That's when the shit talking really gets started, because now we're into the fourth quarter. I'm pretty hammered. Someone's looking at me wrong because their team kicked the shit out of my team, and I want to start a fight.
Well, that's the thing, man. How many videos do you see online now of just people getting in fights in bleachers? And it's like, come on, man, don't be dumb.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, there was that one guy that got killed, and I think it was at the Eagles game. Maybe it was at the San Francisco game. One of those two stadiums, though, someone got into a fight with another guy and killed him. He hit him, and when the guy fell, he hit his head and cracked, broke his neck or something. And I thought, now, is it worth your fanatical attachment to your team? Is it worth now possibly going to jail for some time?
Right.
For me, it's not. I don't care. Hey, my Rams are the best team ever, the worst team ever. I don't care. You want to talk shit about them? I don't care, because I'm not going to jail to defend a team that, frankly, doesn't care two shits about me. They just, I went to that. I don't know what you paid at that football game, but the Cardinals made a hell of a lot of money off you and Tom yesterday.
They did.
You know what I mean?
They did. They absolutely did. So it's hard to. You're right. It's hard to argue at that point. Like, they're going to make more money. If I'll be replaced by 5 other people at some point, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, you're right. I guess it is a fine line between good sportsmanship, bad sportsmanship. When do you cross the line? I don't know the answer. Everyone's got to define that for themselves. I certainly don't like fans coming into a home stadium of another team talking shit.
Yeah.
I just don't like that. So, and there you go. See, you talk shit, you talk to the wrong people, you get hurt. Oh well. Now, brought that shit on yourself.
Before we wrap this up, because we're getting close to the end, I will tell you one thing that has chapped my ass completely. And I mean, you give me a soapbox, I will stand up on it, and I will point you out, and I will mock you because you look like a dumb fan. We were at a Cardinal and Bengal game. That's it. You don't show up in your cheesehead or your Cowboys jersey or your 49ers outfit. You want to wear that shit, you go to a sports bar. This is a Cardinal and Bengal game. If you're not going to wear any of those 2 colors, you don't wear a different team. You wear regular clothes.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I mean, if you want me to rip you up and down, and the EP caught a Cowboy fan. He called him out for it right there. And I will give him credit. I mean, that guy probably would have killed Tom. Tried to kill Tom, but
hey, you would have been right there beside him, though, brother.
But he wasn't wrong. Like, you guys lost here a few weeks ago. It takes a lot of balls to show up wearing that jersey, and they're not even playing. And Cheeseheads, and I'm sure they're traveling on their way to Vegas to go see the Raider game and the Packer game on Monday Night Football. Still, keep that shit in the car. Wear a regular shirt. Nobody cares. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that fan that you're representing another team other than the 2 that are playing.
Yeah, I mean that's Bush League. Like, suck it up, Nancy.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's a good pet peeve that I'll remember from now on.
So sorry, that's my soapbox moment.
That's your soapbox moment. You're gonna get shit talked if you wear a team that's not even playing in the stadium.
Exactly. I mean, wear a different sport, that's fine. I don't care. Wear your favorite Yankee gear. I don't care. Dodger blew it out. Not my problem. They're not playing. It's a different sport.
Okay, I want to give one pet peeve before we go too. Don't come to a football game not knowing at least the rules of the football game.
Yeah.
Go online, figure out how the game is played. I went to a game recently where one of the guys in the group who's sitting right next to me had never been to a football game. He was in his 70s, had never been to a football game. And I was like, oh my God, just do some research, watch something. Like, what the hell? Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
If they waited to their 70s, that's too far gone. But
it's kind of like those people that get on a plane that have never been on a plane before and don't know how to buckle their seatbelt.
Or they clap when you land.
Wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Do not clap when you land.
Yeah, don't clap. That's right. That's right. Don't clap when you land. Know a little bit about the sport before you go to it for the first time, okay?
Moral of the story is act like you've been there.
Hey,
So
hey,
as we
yeah.
wrap up,
I mean, don't sit there the whole time saying, now, what's going on now? Okay, what's going on now? Like, why are they doing that? What's going on? What's this rule? What? Oh, yay.
eat the food, drink the beer, just enjoy the scenery. There's
Eat
always
the
scenery. There's
food,
always
drink
something
the
to watch
beer,
and do.
shut the fuck up.
Exactly. It'll be over in 3 hours. As we wrap up today's show, what's your take on sportsmanship? What about fans that talk a lot of trash? How do you handle it? Are you one of those people? We want to hear about it. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you want to help our EP cope with lashing out at fans of the teams not playing in parking lots, hit him up at liquid_EP on Twitter and the Instagram.
Oh man. Well, I'm sorry the Cardinals lost, but I have
That's
hope for the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are my team right now. And the Suns played their first preseason game. They look badass good, man.
Well, hey man, 82-0. That's the first goal. That's the goal until the first loss.
That's right. 82-0, baby. I love it.
That's the goal until the first loss. So with that being said, Jason, take us home.
Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We always appreciate you. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid current.